Hey everybody, it's Gina here from Gina Makes It. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing a fun little project that I have had in the back of my head, and I finally decided to just go ahead and do it today. I am creating some vintage envelopes to use in future projects. I just finished reading the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society book. And if you're not familiar with the book, it is written all in letters, and I am just obsessed with letter writing right now after reading it, especially vintage letters. And so I decided, wouldn't it be a fun element to add to my journals or future projects to add these vintage letters? And so I decided to make some. Now I created this template. There's two different envelope templates, and they can be found for free on my website at ginamakeitit.com. The first one is 5 3/4 by 4 1/2, and that's this one. And the second one is an inch smaller, and it is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So the first thing that you want to do is download the file and print it out. Now I printed mine out right here on some cardstock just so it was a little bit thicker and it made it a little bit easier to trace. And so I just pulled out some coffee dyed paper that I had on some regular copy paper, super cheap printer paper, and I just traced around the perimeter of my template, and now I am going to cut it out. I did use pencil because sometimes the lines bleed over when you're tracing it, and if you use pencil, it's just a lot easier to erase it once it's done. So I'm going to do this first one, and I'm going to do the whole entire envelope, and then I'm going to do the rest of them all at once. So once you have it all cut out, there's the template, and so you're gonna fold where it says fold here, those fold lines. So I'm using a bone folder. You don't have to if you don't have one, but it just makes it a nicer crease. So I'm just pulling it down to where it lines up with the edges, and I am just folding it over, and I'm creasing it at the top. And then, so right now there's my top and my bottom, and then my two sides that are out. Now this one, I didn't cut all the way to the edge, so I just wanted to cut a little bit more just to get a cleaner fold. So there we have our sweet little envelope. So now I'm just going to take some glue. You can take glue stick or whatever you want. I'm going to take the regular glue that I use because I'm just not happy with tape runner anymore. I have a lot of projects that I completed like 5 years ago, and they're all falling apart. So I decided just to stick with glue for everything from now on. So I just glued the two sides down to the middle, and now I'm erasing. I had a little bit of pencil at the top, and my first one is done. So now I'm going to work on the smaller one, and so this one fits just regular. I don't think I mentioned that you have to put the bigger one on an angle in order to have it fit on that 8 1/2 by 11, but this one fits easy peasy on a piece of coffee dyed 8 1/2 by 11 just copy paper. So I'm doing the exact same thing. I am tracing around the edges, I am cutting it out, and then I'm going to fold it at the creases, and I'm going to glue it together. And then once that's finished, I'm going to do another small one and two more large ones, and then I'm going to work on decorating them so they look kind of like vintage envelopes. Okay, so now I have all 5 of my envelopes completed. They are all put together, and now I am going to glue some stamps on them. So I have a bag, or I currently have a bag of stamps that I got from an antique store near my house, and it's just one of those antique stores, and they had bags of stamps. And so I went through them and I pulled out the ones that I thought would go best. And I also have a little stamp. You can see it at the bottom right hand corner, and it has like a little postmark on it. It also is like attached to a letter or something, but I'm only going to stamp the circle part and get that on top of the stamp. Now these stamps that I got from the antique store that I'm figuring out where I want them on which envelopes, they're like used stamps, and so somebody actually took them off the envelopes after they went through the mail. So now I am just trying out the stamp to see like how's that going to work, and I'm actually really pleased with it. So because these are used stamps, they actually have lines through them and some words on them, which make them look a little bit more authentic, which I kind of like. So I'm just going to glue down the stamps, and then I'm going to take my stamp, and I'm going to be really careful, but I'm not going to worry about that bottom line. I'm going to do my best, but I'm not going to not do the project because of that bottom line, or start over or do anything if there's any problem, because all those extra lines just add to the project itself. I studied a few of the vintage envelopes, like pictures online, and they all have marks all over. I mean, they're vintage, they're not perfect. And so in the past, the old Gina would not have used the stamp because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. But as you know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm trying to do things out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to use materials that I don't normally use, which is one of these stamps. And I have to say, it turned out really awesome. I just love the way that it looks. It looks so authentic to me, and I'm so in love with it. So I wasn't sure then what to do. I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm not going to address them because I'm not sending them to anyone. And so I thought that I would just, after I get done stamping this last one, I'm going to trim down some extra coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to fold it up and put it inside of the envelopes. And then I decided I'm going to add a few other goodies, like some coffee dyed book pages, a few doilies. And then as an afterthought, I thought I'm going to wrap them up with some twine, and I'm going to put that little package inside of the envelope. And so then when I'm ready to use it in the future for whatever project I'm going to use it for, or for whatever it is that I'm going to use it for, they already have paper that's cut down, sized with some extra goodies to be used. And they're just cute little packages. So that's going to wrap up today's project, and now I have 5 beautiful vintage envelopes that I made by hand and I packaged myself, and now I am just adding some muslin and some lace, and I'm going to wrap this whole stack up with twine, and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to think about how I want to use these in future projects, because I am just so absolutely in love with this little pile. I hope that this video inspired you. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will see you next Sunday, March 14th, for episode 20 of Junk Journal with me. Take care.